You ever see something so wrong, so off, that even the air feels heavier just being around it? I have. It happened on a cold, gray morning, the kind where the sky forgets to shine and everything moves a little slower, like it knows what's coming. I was at a funeral military only at Riverton National Cemetery. That place doesn't get loud. No raised voices, no sudden moves. Just a sea of black suits and dress blues, flags folded with painful care, and silence that feels earned. But that morning, silence got broken by something that never should have happened. I remember the SUV pulling up black, clean, quiet like respect itself. And when the door opened, she stepped out. Tall, sharp-shouldered, black woman, full dress uniform. Metals polished like mirrors, for stars shining from her shoulders. You didn't need an introduction. That was someone who'd led men into battle and brought them back. You could just feel it. She held something in her arms, a small urn, wrapped in folded cloth. She carried it like it was heavier than it looked, like it held more than ashes. Maybe it held promises, or guilt, or just a memory too sharp to put down. Nobody questioned her at first. She walked like someone who belonged there more than any of us. But then came Officer Brent Halstead. He wasn't military. Local law enforcement, mid-50s, thinning hair, that permanent scowl like he's been disappointed since '92. He was standing at the pathway entrance with arms crossed, like a gatekeeper to something sacred. She approached, calm, silent, respectful, and then he raised his hand. "Ma'am, restricted area. Need to see ID." His voice. It cut through the quiet like gravel in a blender. People turned. Some winced. She didn't flinch. She reached into her coat, pulled out her military ID, and held it up. No big show. Just matter of fact. Halstead looked at it, didn't even take it, then shook his head. "You think that means something to me?" He said it loud. Loud enough that I saw a kid drop the flag he was holding. Loud enough that people started whispering. But she stayed still, eyes forward, calm like stone. "You people always think a couple medals make you someone." That's what he said. That exact phrase. Like the uniform meant nothing. Like she meant nothing. She answered soft. "I'm here to deliver the remains of Sergeant Eli Banner. He served under me." That name meant something. Eli was a key to good one. Killed overseas. Word was, he died saving 2 others. His parents were right there in the front row. His little nephew in a mini jacket, clutching a photo frame. But Halstead didn't care. He stepped closer. "You ain't on the list. You don't get to walk in just because you feel entitled." That word entitled spit it like poison. And then he slapped his hand on the hood of her SUV. That bang echoed like a gunshot. People jumped. Even I flinched. She didn't move. He said, "Get back in the car." She said no. No anger. No raised voice. Just that word. No. Halstead's hand went to his belt. At first, I thought he was bluffing, trying to intimidate. But then he did it. He drew his weapon and pointed it right at her chest. Everything stopped. Every breath. Every thought. Every whisper died. There she stood, urn clutched tight, back straight, eyes locked on him. He was shaking. You could see it. The hand with the gun wasn't steady. Not from threat. From panic. The panic of realizing you might be on the wrong side of history and the moment is already recording. She said quiet as prayer, "If I die here, the whole country will know why." And Lord help me, she was right. Cameras were out. Phones recording. Nobody said a word, but everyone saw it. A man in uniform stepped forward slowly. Didn't say anything either, just moved closer, like his body was trying to undo what Halstead's had done. And then it happened. The photo frame, the one the kid had been holding, slipped. Landed face up, right by her boot. Eli's face staring back, smiling. Proud. Gone. Still, she didn't bend to pick it up. Because if she bent over, he might have said she was reaching. He might have fired. And deep down, she knew that. Then came the shift. You felt it. A veteran stood from his chair. Older man, maybe Army, maybe Marines. Didn't speak to her. Didn't speak to Halstead. Spoke to the crowd. Said, Are we burying a soldier or burying our dignity? That cracked something open. Military security arrived, two officers in black vests. They didn't shout. They didn't run. They walked up like justice had been walking all morning and finally caught up. "Drop your weapon," one of them said. Halstead hesitated, not because he didn't hear, because he knew what came next. He glanced at her again, spat the words, "I know who you are." She didn't answer. Didn't have to. They cuffed him, led him away. No one clapped. No one cheered. Just quiet. Heavy. Necessary. She finally walked forward, placed the urn on the stone pedestal, stood behind it like a sentinel. Like the only thing stronger than grief was her refusal to flinch. 3 hours later, the footage had 2 million views. By nightfall, 4. And by morning, the Department of Defense issued a statement. Said it was the first time in modern history a civilian officer would face charges for pulling a gun in a military funeral zone. The trial? Brutal. The defense tried to paint her as defiant. Said she didn't comply. Said Halstead feared for protocol. She stood, never sat down, and answered plainly, "My uniform doesn't make me untouchable. It makes me accountable. That's the difference." The jury didn't take long. 5 charges. All guilty. Unlawful weapon use, civil rights violation, racial misconduct, disruption of protected ceremony, obstruction of military protocol. Halstead didn't speak at sentencing, just stared, small, deflated, like he finally saw the edge of the system he thought was his shield. As for her, she didn't ask for applause, didn't give interviews, didn't do talk shows, just returned, days later, to Eli's grave. No guards, no cameras, just her, and that silence again, the kind that wraps around you like a flag. She stood in front of the headstone. No words, just presence. And sometimes, presence is louder than any speech. I tell this story because someone has to. Because too often, the ones who stand still are the ones who shake the world. And we owe it to them to watch, to remember, and when the time comes, to stand too. Let me know in the comments, what would you have done if you were there? Does honor have a color? Should justice ever wait for permission? If this moved you, share it. Because silence might be dignified, but some moments deserve an echo. Subscribe, share, and keep the stories alive. We'll be back with more. But for now, let that silence sit with you a while.